night. And I would really encourage you all to, invite your teams back, invite people back to be part of the Thursday night. I don't think we've ever had an event where, it was just so many different and beautiful and amazing stories. For many of you, there may be people joining us for the first time tonight. If there are, let me introduce myself. My name's Cheryl Cortese, and I've been a national marketing director with the Juice Plus Company now for 34 years. Before many of you were born, they were speaking tonight. Okay, so I was busy getting ready for you. That's what I was doing. But when I started my business, it was out of financial desperation. It was a very difficult time in my life. And I really was looking for an additional way to create income. I was an educator. I was suddenly single. A teacher couldn't provide for two small children on a teaching salary in Louisiana. So this was going to be part-time. Once I got to where I could breathe financially, then I realized there was a lot more to this than just creating additional income. There was passion, there was heart, there was mission, so many things. Often, I've heard people don't listen to, the information as much as they do to your emotions. People listen to your feelings, not your words. And so the first thing I'd like to do tonight is really just help identify those feelings that were shared with all of us tonight. How many of you felt feelings of joy? When you couldn't help it, but when Anna was talking about how happy she was, about what she'd come across, and yet she was so skeptical, which is very normal. So happiness, joy, all of those things that go along with when you wake up one day and you discover this is so much more than I could have ever thought. Vicki, her investigation, on was it really as good as maybe it seemed to be? And how did your heart feel when Emma told you about her child? When you heard about Janelle's child, and to think that you make such a big impact on people, that's the thing that I hope is heard in these conversations, in these stories that are told, because you can't imagine how much just one person's life can be changed just by you sharing this simple information, and then all the people's lives from that person on that'll be changed. So I think the first thing tonight I'd like for you to recognize is the power that you all have and what you have to offer. And I feel like at this point we would all be really, it would be morally wrong if we didn't stretch out and try to put our arms around as many people as we can possibly come across. So I'm going to ask Joy if she'll come join me here for just a minute or two and come off mute, okay? Because maybe you noticed that Emma met her where? Where did Emma met her? Did she meet you in a farmer's market, Joy?
Yeah, it was actually Whole Foods at the time. They every week they would have something set up in the parking lot, like an extra farmer's market, like an outdoor thing. And I was walking around shopping, and I had my gummies, I had all my little tools, in my purse, and I was kind of looking, of course, and I saw Emma with 3 little kids. I was like,
So the point there is, first of all, you might say, I hear Cindy Gompers say this often, she was dressed for success, meaning that she had those tools in her pocket. She had in her purse or in her bag, she's got some gummies, she's got some information for people. So if the opportunity arises, and so that's why, and I'll hear other national marketing directors on our team, like Lauren Lab, saying she's always got her antennas up there, just kind of looking and listening and watching for who might, need this. I think we all need this, but sometimes there's just that feeling that draws you to people, and you want to be able to share with them. She met, let's see, was it Anna that she met at a trade show, was it?
No, I met Anna at the yoga studio that she was teaching, and I'm a student, and I didn't know her though before. And it was like a little, like a bazaar that night where people, we could set up our tables. So I set up my Juice Plus table, and she came over with her family, and she just, she got the bars. And I'm like, I thought, oh, just the bars? because I was like, when I knew what she did, I thought, wow, this could be a great opportunity, you know, to offer her the business. So
But some things happened there. First of all, Joy made herself available in that environment for people to have exposure to what she had to offer. So if you think about developing a business with our profession, basically your responsibility to yourself and your business is how much exposure can you create? Where can you create exposure for what you have? Conversation at the farmer's market, at the Whole Food, a booth somewhere, the people that you know. Certainly we all think about the people that we know already, but then there, what, 350 million people in this country, just in the US, that's not counting Mexico. We've got all of Mexico now and 25 other countries. So, there are lots of people everywhere and everybody, we all know that, wake up every day wanting to protect their health, do something about their health, make sure that they have a good foundation or a strong immune system. So we're a hot ticket right now, but exposure is a very, very important part of it. Also, just again, if we're talking about the joy, the fun, I mean, I listened to Anna talking about, they love the Juice Plus so much that when it was running low, they're all sharing it and dividing it to make sure that they have as much as possible. And then you listen to Janelle and her child and Emma and her child, to think that you totally changed the future for those children because you had the courage to tell somebody the story and that person listened. And I think that's a very important part of what we do, is not only to identify, what are the tools that Joy's carrying around in her purse, what are all the things you can have with you, but also, listening, paying attention to who you can share it with, who you can strike up a conversation with. One of the things I always loved about this profession, once I realized it was actually a profession, was that it was my ticket to talk to the world. I really had something that was, a reason for me to talk to any and everybody that I ever came across. And I always loved, even before I ever knew of anything like this, I loved collecting people's stories in the world. I liked it when I sat next to a person on a plane, and this is long before Juice Plus or anything of this nature. I just wanted to hear. I wanted to hear what other people did. I wanted to hear what, their lives were about. Today, I not only get to do that, but I get to kind of wrap this around, that life. So Joy has been very good, and it looks like the others as well, at creating that exposure. Now, often people will ask me, well, what's a good approach? What's a good close? How do you close? Because in basically in sales, that's what people say is, how do you approach and how do you close? I think for this, it's a little different. I've never looked at this as sales. I've looked at it as sharing and caring for other people. So the first part of the approach is caring, really caring about other people. That's something that I noticed. And if you listen tonight into all of the stories, first of all, how much, and we all know this, how much people love their children. So we all want our children to have the best health and the best life. So just listening for people who have children is an approach to, having something to offer, and especially with the Children's Health Study and being able to offer that product for free. Then if you think about closing, really closing starts with the story, because if you listen to all the stories tonight, won't you just love being part of that? You love being part of something that makes such a difference for people. So if you're just sharing your story with people, that's going to be an attraction in itself. That's the first level of closing as far as collecting customers and collecting team members, is you sharing your story. So the stories tonight were beautiful. They included, how they came across the product, what attracted them. Most were a little skeptical at first, some not skeptical at all, but, really feeling like this might be the answer. But the story is what attracted. The story is what created the interest. The story is what closed it, you might say, as far as people saying, yes, I want to be part of this. I want to take this product. I want to share it with other people because of a story. So I think if you look at anything that's foundational as far as building a strong and powerful business, how many people can you tell the story to? How can you create that exposure? You know, I'm sure Joy's thinking about all the time, just if I listen to where she met, you know, and there are two people she met, and then there are two people that they met, okay, that we had tonight to share their stories. You know, look at how this continues to duplicate, but she's thinking about, how can I meet more people? Where can I stretch out? How can I create an environment where I can create exposure? Now, there are three things, and I'll just go through these three right quick because I think they're foundational to our business. And it's what I call the 3 C's to success. And it would be commitment, consistency, and then stay connected. And so if you think about the word commitment, once you decide that you're going to consume the product and you realize, and that light bulb goes on top of your head, I have found a really thing, then how committed are you? I know I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it every day. And I feel very blessed that I have not missed a day. And now almost 30 years with Juice Plus. And it really has given me my edge. I know everybody can attest to it if they've been on it for some length of time. Joy, would you agree with me on that one?
Absolutely. And I just want to say I was in a networking lunch yesterday, and I was a sponsor. And so I shared my story and I shared the products. And one of the gals, she had, you know, she shared that she's been on Juice Plus for 20 years. And her and her family. And she just shared her story and how, you know, the benefits, and that she will never, ever get off Juice Plus. So that was just such a great, you know, it was just great because I was sharing with people to, you know, to get them to take a look at it. And then I had that great.
You had an amenter and you didn't even know you were going to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So commitment, once you've decided, you know, commit. And the same thing from a business standpoint is you're really, the first commitment is to yourself. It's not to your upline, it's not to the downline, it's not to the company, it's to you. What is this in your life and how committed are you going to be to share it with other people? I know as I listen to Emma and I listen to Janelle and their children, my guess would be that they don't let a parent go by them that they don't tell the information to. I see Emma shaking her head right now, because when you find something that's made such a difference in your life, you can't imagine passing one person that might make the difference in their life. And you don't know who they know that might have a similar story. So commitment is huge. And sometimes, you know, we hear words, commitment, consistency, connected, and they just kind of fly by. But let's just think about commitment for a minute. Commitment is the discipline to commitment, means an irreversible decision that you will do today what most people won't, so you can have tomorrow what most people can't. And so in our business, that is a very important aspect. It's that commitment to activity, commitment to consistency of activity, commitment. Successful people make a commitment and pursue it with dogged patience and persistence. Commitment produces consistent, enthusiastic effort that inevitably produces great rewards. So just consistent commitment to consistent activity. So let's talk about consistency. Consistency is identifying what are the things that bring the return from a business standpoint. Well, certainly telling the story as many possible ways as you can. And when I say ways, I mean, I'm going to go back to Joy. She's talking to people in the grocery store, and I'm sure she's talked to everybody she knew before she even got to the grocery store, okay? Then she's creating, you know, an exposure in some way, all the virtual events, everything that we have to offer, you know, that cafeteria, you might say, of all the good things that are out there that are there to support you in your business. You know, new countries opening. I know Anna enjoyed being the part of that new burst of energy, but you can create that new burst of energy wherever you are at any time by creating, you know, events. And events can be online, they can be virtual, they can be Zoom calls, they can be the events that we do. Monday night call is a non-negotiable event if you want to bring people again to hear things that are not only informative and information, but inspiring. So a true commitment is a heartfelt promise that you make to yourself from which you will not back down from. And I think that's huge. I think if I look over the 34 years and I look at the people who've been very successful, they have made a commitment that they're going to show up for themselves consistently with commitment, and then they're going to stay connected. Always when we do a Q school, which is an advanced leadership school once a year, Jeff Roberti, my sponsor, and myself. And I always started with this saying, which was really Vince Lombardi, who was a football coach, but the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. So your commitment to yourself for those activities in which you consistently employ. I employ myself at a high level because I want to be paid at a high level. So you're the president of your company, and you can employ yourself at whatever rate you want to, but commitment, consistency of paying activities, and then stay connected. I've always stayed connected to the company, to Jeff Roberti, to the team, the people who are your running buddies, so to speak, but that staying connected. I love Thursday night and I love Monday night because it re-energizes me. As I hear the stories tonight, I mean, all of you must have felt the same thing. You kind of feel almost like tears are going to well up inside you because you're so happy that somebody has found a solution for something that was a huge challenge. And that can be health, it can be finances, it can be things in life that you don't expect. It can be just the joy of contribution and giving, because giving is not just, sharing monies with people. It's sharing knowledge, it's sharing time, it's sharing joy, it's sharing all of those things that make a difference in people's lives. And at this point in time, and here we're going to close because we're a little past time, but at this point in time in history, if we look around the world, we are the face of the future as far as clean, pure food, good basic foundation from a nutritional standpoint that really makes a difference in the immune system with science behind it, a way for people to create additional income or a career, which is not that easy to come by these days, for many, many people. We really are the people that can make the difference. So I would encourage you to, take your heart and go to everybody that you know with it, and make sure that you share your story, other people's story. Be a collector of stories, because every time I hear, a story of either a child that's done better, or a person that has, all of a sudden, a lot of people come to mind. Well, I'll need to tell them about that story, or I'd like for them to hear this story. So make sure that you make those connections too, from the stories you hear to the people that may need to hear them. And also, if we look at our business, we're going here into the last 2 months. Well, we're just, I guess, a month and a half. I don't know if your year is going as fast as mine. Mine is going at the speed of light, it seems, but we're almost to the end of the year. What you do over the next 6 weeks will set the pace for your whole next year. So as people gather for holidays, and it may be the first time in a long time that people have been able to really gather for holidays in person, make sure that you share your story with everybody, and the stories you've heard tonight and in other places. Really reach out to people, share the information, invite them to partner with you to be part of the mission. It's not always that people need additional income. Many times they do. But I think everyone wants to be part of a mission that makes a difference in the lives of other people, and to be part of that kind of contribution to mankind. And we definitely have that to offer. So if I were you, I'd make a hit list, okay, of everybody you can think of that you can speak to between now and the end of the year, and then be ready really to have the very best year of your whole lives in every direction. from a health standpoint, a business standpoint, a friendship standpoint, a community standpoint. And as we look at all the new and energizing things that have happened with our pay plan, I guess you would say the motivating things that have happened as far as the alterations in the pay plan, it's easier than ever to move through our program. So any questions you have, I mean, get with the people who, you know, you work with on a daily basis, reach up to your upline, to your team, and really put together, you know, that game plan between now and the end of the year, and then really kicking off a year that's gonna absolutely be record breaking. So Joy, thank you and your team again, just wonderful stories and such a great example of everything that's good about who we are. So thank you. Say good night, everyone. We'll say good night to you at this point. So good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
It's so wonderful. Awesome call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Good night, thank you.
story.
Awesome, awesome,
Que
awesome.
tomaran una radiografía o algo por cualquier cosa, porque no es bueno que le pongan rojo.
Good night, folks.
Es que es como que